give a huge round of applause, everybody, for Ernie Hudson!
Okay.
Sure, I've done it once or twice. How's everyone doing? I realized I should introduce myself, which I didn't do on the last panel. My name's Steve Weintraub. I'm the founder and I guess editor-in-chief of Collider, which is a small website in case you've never been. We have at least 5 fans, so I was happy they asked me to do this. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm very, very happy to be here. Happy to see everybody. You guys look great, and yeah, it's it's good.
I have way too many questions for you. I've been a fan for a long time. Let's just get started. What do you think would surprise people to learn about being an actor in Hollywood?
I'm not sure what would surprise people to learn about being an actor. That you could work a lot and be on, you know, different shows and be broke. I think people see you on TV, they assume that you got the same pay that, you know, some people you hear about. But yeah, that's, you know, you can, yeah, that might be a surprise.
Yeah, I don't think, oh, sorry.
Also, I think it might surprise people because, you know, you take a lot of photos with people. And if you go to events and somebody's there, another actor or somebody quote unquote famous, people see that and they assume that you're best friends and you hang out, you know, together, and it's like this one big happy community of, you know, bunch of actors all, you know, friendly or whatever. But truth is, you probably don't know any of those people. You know, I mean, they're people I've worked with and I still don't know them. So, so that might be a surprise. I think it's. But before I became an actor, it probably was my, you know, assuming everybody in Hollywood would be best friends and know each other and sort of hang out, or at least go to the same restaurants or something.
You've done so many things in your career. If someone, say a young fan is out here and they've never seen anything you've done, what's the first thing you'd like them watching and why?
Well, you know, I'm not sure. You know, I've been fortunate enough to, I know if I sound a little, whatever, I apologize. You know, what would I like them to watch? I've done a lot of different things. I've made a good living as an actor, and I've worked for close to 60 years as an actor. I don't know if I'm very happy when people see work and they remember or they like it. But I don't know if there's anything I'd say to a young person, you really should see this. Does that sound weird? I mean,
I totally get it. We can move.
Oh,
sir, I have so many questions. We can move on.
Right? Yeah, no,
well, we're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wish maybe I had something where I say, you know, oh, I did this work. I did this movie. You got to see me in this movie. I mean, I'm really good in this movie. You know, you show up and you do your best, but I don't know if. And when somebody comes and they say, I really like that, and sometimes you kind of go, wow, yeah, I'm very happy that you know, you registered. Because the movies are really about, TV is about stories, and you play a small part in the story. And the fact that somebody comes away connecting to that character, it's very, very special.
What is your favorite part about doing Comic-Cons besides people always coming up to you to offer you a free drink?
The favorite part about doing Comic-Con, it's kind of nice to meet people who actually see movies, you know. It's nice to see people who don't necessarily work in the entertainment industry, but, you know, you find this thing that you enjoy. As we sort of move forward as a society, in my opinion, we lose a lot of the community stuff. You know, we lose a lot of stuff that used to tie us together because technology has moved so far and we're on our phones. You know, it used to be places you'd hang out or, you know, you go to dance or just a lot of reasons to get together. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of that now. There might be, and I'm just an old man and I don't know where they are. But it's nice that people find the Comic-Cons or the movies or the comics or whatever that you share and seeing people who enjoy it, and are there for a reason, and sometimes with families, I love meeting, sometimes grandparents with grandkids, and they have seen the movie and they're excited about it, because you don't get that in Hollywood. In Hollywood, if you made a movie 5 years ago, they say, well, that was a long time ago. And so you don't get that sense of this is what I do. When you come to Comic Cons, you get a chance to connect with people, and you get a chance to hear stories about, other issues and other places, that exist outside of your world,
You have done a lot of one-off episodes of TV shows, and I was looking at your amazing resume. It's like, if you look at his resume on IMDb, you'll be like, get the F out of here. Like, it's so immense. So I just wanted to ask you, what do you remember about your work? If you can, I'm not sure you'll remember, but what do you remember about Fantasy Island,
Yeah.
The Incredible Hulk with Bill Bixby, and Different Strokes?
Wow. Okay. Well, with Fantasy Island, I remember it was one of the first jobs I got when I went out to Hollywood. My head was shaved, and it was a part of an African voodoo priest. They were they were the part of the island. They had this village, and I was a priest, and I had a dance that I had to do, and then it ended with me with a snake. I had to dance with a snake, and eventually they decided not to use a snake, but because they saw how afraid I was of the snake. So we did the dance without snake. But I remember about Fantasy Island, and it's one of the good stories about Hollywood. I had just sort of gotten started, and it was, I got this job, and I was a little bit cautious because I don't know. I mean, and on Fantasy Island, they'd hire all these like famous stars, old movie stars. They'd come to Fantasy Island, and I didn't know any of these people. I didn't know anyone, so I kind of went to my dressing room, and it was lunchtime. I went to my dressing room, and there's a knock on the door, and it's Ricardo Montalban. And I opened the door, and he says, "Welcome," just like he does on the show. He said, "I'm Ricardo," and he says, "Oh," so he says, "Come," and so he took me out and went over to where everybody was having lunch. I wish I could think of some of the actors, but these are like old movie stars from the past. And he introduced me, and he told me, sit. So I sat, and he went and got me lunch, and he sat there for the rest of the lunch and sort of talked to me, and it was so cool because I felt like, I didn't, that he took the time, and I just felt that if I ever got a chance to be in that position, I would always respect and honor those people kind of coming in, because he was just really so cool. And I saw him about a year before he made transition, and he pretended he remembered me. But I don't know if he actually did or not, but he was very, very gracious. And he's the only actor I ever wrote a thank you note to, because he was, it just made me very, very happy to be in this business and to be an actor that wasn't known, but that someone cared enough to say you're part of us. And
we should say, for people that don't realize, it is highly unusual for the number one person on the call sheet to do what Ricardo did.
Yeah, no, very. In fact, sometimes you work on shows and they'll tell extras you can't talk to them. It gets really kind of stupid. I don't deal with people in that kind of sense. You speak to anyone, but not everybody feels that way. But Ricardo was just very, very special. That was on Different Strokes. It was Different Strokes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The
early
kids,
'80s for all you young people.
Yeah, the kids were really cool, and I just remember the kids were really kind of fun, and as they grew up, they ended up having some difficult issues. That's always, it was kind of difficult to see them go through their changes. And
Incredible Hulk with Bill Bixby.
Incredible Hulk with Bill Bixby. Yeah, the Bill. It was a scene about. I was this I don't know guy's bodyguard, and Bill Bixby in the story is working at a car wash, and I take my car to the car wash. And I can't remember why, but some reason I beat him up.
Wait, did you make the Hulk come out?
Yeah, I made the whole. I beat him up. I punched him in the stomach, and then I pick him up and I throw him on the hood of the car, and the car goes down through the car wash, and as it brushes the, he kind of gets crazy and turns green, and he slides down under the car, and then he comes up out of the car holding the motor of the. Sorry. And then I see him being big and green and holding a motor, and he throws the motor at me, and then I take off running, and then he sort of takes off running after me. But when he runs out of the car wash, there's a little girl in a stroller, and she starts screaming when she sees him, and then in the story, he reaches down, he picks up the little girl, and then she smiles. And that's, except the little girl they hired was freaked out, and she wouldn't smile. So they kept doing it over and over, and the director was saying, "We got to get her. We can't." And then finally said, "We're going to have to get another baby." And then the mother said, "No, don't. Let me talk to her." So the mother took the little girl around the corner, and then she brought it back. And then we did the scene, and he runs out and he picks her up, and she kind of smiled and she did her thing. And I said, "Wow, I said, what did you say to her?" And she said, I told her we needed the money. So then I realized acting is not about how you feel, but sometimes you just got to get the shot. But Lou Ferrigno has been a friend ever since we did that show. But yeah.
It's a great story. Thank you for sharing. I swear we're about to get to the audience questions. I promise. You obviously, everyone knows you from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious. At what point, what is it like to be part of something that 40 years after it came out, people are still excited to talk about it?
Yeah, some people say, "Aren't you tired of hearing the song?" Or really? I mean, it's like every time. Aren't you tired of hearing people go, "Hey, who are you going to call?" And people are really excited to say it. They go, like I never heard it before. But it's. I did a play in Minnesota, an August Wilson play. This was about 10 years ago, and everybody in the play, it was 6 of us in the cast, had been acting for 30 years or more. But none of them had actually had a movie that anyone would know. And I realized that, as an actor, to have something that people connect with, they have stories about, they tie their family into, that's really sort of special. And so the fact that people have embraced the movie, the fact that, I hear all kinds of stories, and but it means a lot to me that. Because the movies go all over the world. I was in France. I was in Italy, in Florence. And I hear these people yelling, "Hey, half dead, half dead." And they were so excited. And I did a movie, it was an awful movie called Penitentiary 2. But the character's name was Half Dead. And I realized that these people who were, I don't know where they were from, but had seen this movie. So movies sort of go into places, villages that you can't even imagine, but they have a connection with people. So to be a part of that is just very, very special.
When you think about the first 2 Ghostbusters film, which scene or sequence, I'm sure you've been asked this and I apologize, but which scene or sequence ended up being the biggest pain in the A? I don't want to curse because there might be kids to film.
The work is never hard.
Well, sometimes with camera moves or dialogue, or sometimes it can be
Yeah.
a little more challenging.
When we
I
put
think.
on the marshmallow stuff, that was kind of, because it was shaving cream and it would get into the suits and it would get on the skin and it dries and it kind of burns a bit. So that was kind of annoying. When we did the scene coming out of the subway in the second movie and we were covered in slime, they didn't have a subway thing for us to come out of, so they had one of those power, boxes in the ground. So me, Harold, Danny, we kind of packed in this thing. They put the top on, and then we popped the top off and we come out, but they had to pour all this slime over us, and we come out, but it was like below zero. So when we came out, the cold air just really kind of hit and froze all the slime, and so that was really kind of crappy. But at the end of the day, it's it's all fun. Even though as I get older now, the idea of shooting a movie in Alaska in winter, you know what I mean? It's like you just go, it's like I shot a thing in Vancouver, which is not the coldest place on the planet, but it really, it was Once Upon a Time, was it Once Upon a Time?
The ABC show.
Yeah, the ABC show.
Yeah.
It was called Once Upon a Time, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah. And I played this King Poseidon, and I had this outfit on that was, my legs were exposed, and but it was so cold, and it was the wind off the water, and it was like, oh man, So now if someone asks if I want to do a movie and it's shooting someplace, because you got to go, do I really want to go there and be cold and
That's a sign of a successful career when you can debate that.
That's right. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. How much is it paying? But yeah, you're right. It's you love the work, and if the character is worth it, if the story is a story you really want to tell, that's what you live for. That's what you do. But sometimes you're in a film that's somebody else's story, and I've done a lot of those. And now you're kind of there, but it's not really about you. And then you kind of go, I don't know if I want to do it. So I end up, now I turn down a lot of stuff just because, why do I want to do this? I mean, give me a reason to want to do that.
Also, the other thing for people that don't realize, so much. Do you live in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the problem is, for people that don't realize, like, all production has left Los Angeles. There's so little being filmed there, and it's a real issue for the economy and the crews of Los Angeles. But that's why when they shoot there, they can get the best actors, because they'll be like, I can just sleep in my bed.
Yeah, I do a show called Family Business we shoot in Los Angeles, and great, thanks. And I did a show called Quantum Leap. We shot in. So there are shows that we do in Los Angeles. But you're right, a lot of it. I just did a movie with Tyler Perry in Atlanta. A lot of the work is, we shot Ghostbusters in London. So a lot of the work has gone outside of the country because of the tax incentives. And the producers is about the money. But yeah, it means being away from home. You go to do a series, you're going to be living someplace other than your house, and you go, why do I, once again, just has to be a reason. And as you get older, I think you don't realize when you're 19, 20, in your 20s, you're kind of a different person than when you're in your 40s. You think you're the same person, but life is like, it's changes a little bit. And when you're in your 40s, it's a little bit different than when you're in your 60s, And when you get to be my age, which I'll be 80 years old soon, it's like I know, yeah, you're applauding just because I survived. Like I know, it's like, oh my God, how old are you? You lived that long? Oh, yeah, good to see you. Congratulations. But but you do. Things take a different priority. Not that you want to, it's just that suddenly you just see things a little different, When your kids are small and, it's like it's about the kids and everything to make sure they at least get a good shot. And then when the kids are in their 50s, it's a different, it's a different just a different reality, whatever that means.
Actually totally get it. I want to read this question because I couldn't believe it. Something I read and I couldn't believe is you had to audition to play Winston on the animated series The Real Ghostbusters, and they ended up giving the role to Arsenio Hall. How the hell does something like that happen?
Well, it wouldn't be bad if I thought more of Arsenio's acting. I'm kidding. Arsenio is a good friend. Yeah, I think what happened is Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis. They usually didn't do sequels, but they would never do an animated voiceover thing. Maybe the assumption was the actors in the movie, me being one of them, wouldn't do it. I don't know, but I think the director of the animated series was a friend of Arsenio Hall, and he wanted Arsenio, and someone insisted they had to see me or at least offer it to me. And I went into the audition, which wasn't supposed to be an audition. He just wanted to hear my voice. And while we were doing it, he said, oh, wait, stop. He said, when Ernie Hudson did the movie, in the movie, Ernie Hudson didn't do it. Ernie Hudson did it, and he was explaining to me how Ernie Hudson did this. And I'm like, okay. I got a little TV show. I was out of town for about 4 days. And when I came back, they said they'd already cast the part because they heard I was working and I wouldn't be available, which is all nonsense. I think the directors wanted Arsenio, which really kind of sucked because at that time, remember I told you everybody who's working, not exactly rich. I was a single dad, and I could have used the money, but it is what it is, and we move on.
Yeah, no, it's just such a crazy story.
Yeah,
crazy.
It's even crazier when it's happening to you.
Yeah.
It's but it's things work out the way they should, I think, in time. Now I look back, my experience with Ghostbusters, we've done 5 movies now, and it's been a real blessing. But when we did the first movie, it was a challenge. I'm from Michigan, and where I grew up at, you settle disputes, a certain way. And you can't do that in Hollywood, not if you ever want to work again, So it's like, okay, how do I fix this so I can keep moving forward? And I learned a lot from doing Ghostbusters. Sometimes you just have to stand in your understanding and keep showing up because the world seems a little bit, but in time, it'll all make sense. And Ghostbusters is one of those films that in times makes sense. The story changed a lot, but when I looked at it like all the things that I signed up to do that I didn't get a chance to do, but now in time I realize it's a perfect movie just the way it is. It just, and so sometimes you just have to live through it. You go through stuff you don't understand, but sometimes you just got to live through it, and in time, maybe it'll all kind of come back around. And Ghostbusters is one of those things that in time has come back around. I come to Indianapolis and I see the Ghostbuster exhibit and all the guys in their jumpsuits. Now it all kind of makes sense. But back in 1983, when we were doing it, it was like, I was talking myself out of knocking somebody out.
I would like to open it to the audience, please.
Hey, your style that you pull down with the gritty, world-weary kind of character, like the grizzled cop, where do you pull that reference from? From you were talking about the old actors. I mean, I put you in that style up there with, Brando or any of those guys. I mean, the way you can just like convince that, you're the good guy with good intentions, but you always kind of do the bad thing.
Okay. You talking about any movie in particular, or just in?
Just when
In general?
when you're doing that character in general, like, is there a reference point that you're looking at?
Well, I don't know if there's a reference point. I think, we're all in this mix called life, but in reality, we all have different. I mean, it's a different world. We think we all share the same world, but it's kind of a different world. And so when you create a movie or a writer writes a story, that's a universe that your character kind of fits in. And so you try to be honest with that story. Not all actors feel that way. I have a lot of actors, friends, they're going to do their thing no matter what the story is. They're always going to be that same guy who's whatever. But I always feel that if you're in Congo, you can't be the same person that's in The Crow. So you have to sort of, in this reality, what is that existence like? I think. And that's, I think, basically how. Yeah.
Yeah, good answer. The Crow's my favorite, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, The Crow's one of my favorite too.
Next.
Kids time. Testing, 1, 2, 3. What was your most memorable or funniest behind-the-scenes story from any of the Ghostbuster movies or games?
Funniest, I get asked that a lot. Tell us a funny story about Ghostbusters. There were no funny moments in Ghostbusters. No, it's the guys were kind of fun, but I don't know. I don't really, I'm not a practical joker, so I don't really. And when I work with people who like to do goofy stuff I have a way of looking at them, so it's like I don't play like that. So we're not gonna. This is not gonna be our experience. So I don't know. We had fun on the set, but I don't know any funny stories. I almost feel like no, but I don't know. Because it was always sort of yeah. And also I gotta say I'm not probably the most fun person. I did a movie called Weeds with Nick Nolte. We shot in North Carolina, and this is not to do with Ghostbusters, but and we rehearsed the movie for a month before we started shooting, and I thought I was pretty friendly with everybody, but every time people went to lunch, they would all go to lunch together, and they never invited me. And I thought, that's, it's kind of, I'd go home and talk to my wife about it. It's kind of weird. I think I'm nice or whatever, if they don't. And so one day I just decided that, and I said, where you guys going? You guys going to lunch? And I said, okay, I'll go. I kind of invited myself along. And now what I'm about to say, I shouldn't have mentioned the name of the movie, but so we got in the car, and it was kind of awkward, and then someone pulled out a joint, and then I realized that the reason I wasn't invited had more to do with I wasn't into some of the things we're into, and so I think sometimes people, I don't, so I don't.
Enough years has passed. You can tell the story.
That's right. Yeah. So now I've heard stories. In fact, I read a story about the Ghostbusters and all the crazy things that were happening on the set, but I was there unless they were happening in places where I wasn't. But once again, people will have a way of asking you, say, "Oh, Sarah, Ernie, so what do you think about?" And the way you answer determines whether or not you get invited to that party or not. And apparently, so whatever. Anyway, but a funny, I can't think of anything that was really funny.
It's okay.
Thanks.
Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
thank you for your question.
Right.
Yeah. I had a hard
Thank
time
you.
thinking of it.
And next,
Okay, first you look amazing for almost 80. Okay.
Oh,
So
thank you.
That's why we were applauding.
But not 78.
No, you look great for you look great for 78.
No,
I mean, you just
I'm
look
teasing. I'm
amazing.
teasing. Thank you. Thank you.
And you've worked on Oz with one of my classmates, Cyrus Farmer.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So my question is two questions. One is, what did you think of your acting or working with the people on Psych? And then, if there is someone that you could work with that you haven't worked with, who would that be?
Oh, gee, there's a lot of amazing actors that I would love to work with, and that I haven't had a chance to work with. Morgan Freeman and I, we've never worked together, or Denzel and I. Well, I did work with Denzel on a show called St. Elsewhere
Oh yeah.
years ago, but not in not so there's some really good actors, a lot of good actors I'd work with. And Psych was Dule Hill. We did a movie called Sugar Hill, one of the movies that I loved, and I just loved working on it. But he was a kid then. He played the young Wesley Snipes, and so when we did Psych, I loved the show. The guys are funny and fun, and Felicia Rashad played my wife.
Yes, she did.
And then they had the character come back, but I was doing some movie for a few days, and they decided to cast Keith David in my role.
I
and
didn't
they
like
said,
him
but
in your role.
I'm
I didn't
sorry.
like him in your role.
You know, of course
I
you
mean,
like him.
he's a nice guy,
you
but he
know.
wasn't you. So
No, he was. You know, Keith is a good friend, and he's an amazing actor. But come on. And they said, well,
Exactly.
but he looks just like you. And I'm like, no, he doesn't look just like me. So I was kind of annoyed with that. But yeah, you know.
Okay.
I think as actors we all bring something that's a little bit different. That's what we do. But sometimes producers make choices that because I would have loved to have gone back and done more with Psych. I love working on Psych.
Yeah.
I'm amazed how popular the show is. People really love that show.
I love it.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So.
All right, thank you.
thank you for the question. And up next we have
Tyler,
Tyler. What's your question?
hang on.
I wrote it down here. It's
Okay.
like,
What can you tell us about your time on Infinity Train?
Infinity Train. Yeah, that was. It was fun. I played a dog, and it was fun. No, it was fun and it was interesting. I was doing an interview with one of the other actors, and he played a dog because we were all except for the girl. We were different animals, and he described his dog, the breed and what the dog does, and I was a dog, So I loved working on the show, and that's, I was a dog.
Thank you for the question. And up next we have Kevin.
Kevin Bones,
Wow. Okay.
or Waldo, whatever.
From Waldo. Yeah. Cool.
Did you enjoy working with the movie director in the movie Crow?
Alex Price was the director, and I just have so much respect for him. I think he's one of the really amazing, talented people. I'm not quite sure I haven't seen him in many years. I don't know what's happening with his career, but I just felt when we did that, I saw a reel of his before I did the movie, and I just thought it was one of the best things I'd ever seen. He was a brilliant director. The only criticism I have of Alex is that the studios were putting a lot of pressure on him to finish the movie a certain way, and after the accident, Brandon died. He came back in charge, and I wish he had just been in charge the whole time. And I think the movie turned out what it was because he just took control of the movie, and I think he was, before the accident, I think he just gave in a lot to what they wanted, so.
I will say that if you enjoy The Crow and you have not seen Dark City, which came out a few years later. Wait, I could be wrong about the dates. Might have come out before, I don't know, but Dark City's fantastic. And he also directed Dark City. Before we get to your question, I have to ask one more because I had it written down, I completely forgot. I'm a huge fan of Jody Hill, director Jody Hill, and you are infamous with Zac Efron, which is an upcoming film. It sounds crazy. What can you say about this movie for people that haven't heard about it and who you play?
Who said I was in it?
Are you not in it?
I don't know if that's, if I'm supposed to answer that.
Oh, well, I saw it on the always accurate IMDb.
You saw it in there?
Yeah, it was listed that you were in it.
Really?
Are you not supposed to, are people not supposed to know you're in it?
Geez, I don't know. I was, I'm not, I'm just, sometimes they tell you don't talk about things, but I'm not saying that's one of the things I don't talk about, but so yeah, I nobody's ever asked me about that.
We'll leave this alone except to say that it is, Jody Hill has made like The Righteous Gemstones, Eastbound and Down, Vice Principals. He directed Observe and Report, and he's a really, really funny guy. Like,
he's a funny guy, yeah.
His stuff is original, and anyway, it stars Zac Efron and maybe Ernie.
Yeah, no, Zach is great, and he's great, and they do some amazing movies.
I won't get you in trouble. We can move on.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about it.
It's coming out either late. I think it might be later this year. I heard it's really good. I'm sorry. Here's your question.
Yeah.
So, as somebody who has done theater, TV, movies, and everything, what is the biggest thing that helps you find your character and get into character, no matter the project, or does it change?
Yeah, I love working in all the different mediums. I especially love theater. It was kind of my first love. The first thing that I felt I could really do and I could do well. I think you get it's almost like an intuitive feeling about a project, about a character that is kind of unique for that project. And sometimes you don't feel it and you know that you really shouldn't do it, but I think it's just kind of a knowingness, I guess. I'm not sure how other people do it, but you just, I don't know if it's anything you study. It's just this kind of an intuitive feeling you have about certain things that make you want to be in it, make you want to sort of, kind of dig deep. I love doing research on stuff, but eventually you find if you're lucky. If you don't find it, then it's a nightmare. But you find that special thing about it, But I can't describe it. I'm not quite sure what it is. You just have a feeling.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. We have time for a few more questions.
When you were doing Ghostbusters, did you have a favorite scene that you filmed?
In the second movie, I liked the train sequence. That was fun. I was surprised that some people, especially kids, found it really scary. I didn't think it was that scary, but maybe the screaming and the skeleton hits and all that stuff. But that was fun. In the first movie, I think my first day on set, we shot that big Twinkie scene, and you know, that was. And also, I like the scene with Danny Aykroyd in the car when we talk about the end of, you know, the world and Jesus' style, and you know, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I don't. I think we might have some fans coming up next. That it's possible. I'm not 100%. Wait.
Yeah, yeah.
You can do it. I'm totally confident in you.
Okay. He was just wanting to know if you preferred the older movies or the newer movies now that you've been in both. In Ghostbusters.
Well, the older movies are more sentimental. You know, I mean, when you make a movie and you see it later on, you remember the day you went to work, you remember the riding in the van, you remember all these little things that when you were getting ready to do those scenes. So all that stuff sort of comes back. And I was a younger man when I did the first couple of movies. I like the newer movies because I didn't think they would ever happen. And it was great to see Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Annie Potts, people I'd worked with, people I'd known for so many years coming back together to do this thing. So they're all kind of special, but special in different ways. And I don't know if any one is better or worse, it's just that each one is sort of uniquely special.
I'm just curious, what's your favorite Ghostbusters movie?
The new second one,
Which one is that? Afterlife or Frozen City?
Frozen Empire.
Frozen Empire, yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Frozen Empire. I apologize.
Yeah, no, don't be. Yeah, and they were fun. I'm glad that they found a way to do them so they felt at least relevant, you know, as opposed to just making a movie to make a movie. So, yeah.
Thank you for your question.
Shows like Grace and Frankie would be really hard to get onto television. So with streaming and allowing more opportunities, talk to a little bit about how it's given more opportunities for established veteran actors to have media roles in a series format.
Yeah, no, streaming is great. I mean, some wonderful stories being told. It's kind of a cross between television and film, and now you, as opposed to having to tell the whole story in 2 hours, you got 13 episodes or sometimes 5 seasons of. It's just some incredible work that's being done. What's happening to the pay scale and all the other dynamics that make it up, that's all sort of changing, you know. But
For better or for worse?
in some ways for better, in some ways for worse. You know, it sort of opens the door. Yeah, it sort of is what it is, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you.
We have time for one more question, and we're out of time, but I just want you to ask it because of your hat.
Wow. Yeah.
Going back to the Ghostbusters Afterlife, what did it feel like coming back to the Ghostbuster franchise?
Yeah, that is that the bib of the hat, or is that?
Oh,
You
this
should
is,
turn
Shane
You should,
Connery.
you should turn around so everyone can
Turn
see
on
it,
the side.
actually.
Oh, it's a front. I see. Okay, yeah. Yeah. So no, it was great. It was great to come back. It was great to see everybody. It was great to be paid well. You know, I mean, because if I hadn't been paid well, it wouldn't have felt great. You know, I mean, I can say all the wonderful things, but if I hadn't been paid, it'd been like, oh hell no. You know, I mean, I'm not to say I wouldn't have done it, but it's just a happier set when the money's good. You know what I mean? You just feel better. You just feel like they love me. You know, and when they, no matter how much they tell you they love you, when they don't pay you, it's like it just doesn't feel good. You know, and you try to get over it, but it's like you know, money isn't the only thing, but
It helps.
it helps. It makes up for a lot, and yeah. So, but it was great. It was great to go back to work, and you know, we shot it in Canada. I wish we could have shot it here, but that's a whole other story. I mean, yeah. So, that answer the question?
Yep.
I was going to say, if you enjoyed seeing Ernie Hudson here on stage, he is downstairs on the convention floor, and you can take photos and autographs. I believe you're doing these things.
Yeah. So yeah, come by if you get a chance and say hello. And yeah, we're there signing autograph. I think there's a photo op and shortly, somewhere. And I don't know if I travel. So if I seemed a little bit kind of, I apologize. But yeah, I'll be here all weekend, and it's great to see everybody.
Yeah, I'm just going to say real quick, ladies and gentlemen, Ernie Hudson.
Great. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
You guys, can you please, one more time, give a huge round of applause area for Ernie Hudson.